We're going up and down, over and over. It's the same old thing. Up and down, over and under.
I really believe that a lot of the things that make a great athlete make a great person, And so it's like my whole backstory is kind of like, I played college football and then, went on, started working, got married, had kids, and like all these things I thought I was doing well, like the cracks kind of started to show once like all these other like responsibilities and stresses kind of like came into my life. So it was like my own little journey of like, damn, like how do I kind of get my life back on track? And one of the things I turned to was like, all right, I want to start working out again. I want to start training again because that was just like a huge positive. And kind of like going through that, it was like, damn, in the last 10 years, a lot has changed, actually. Just with regard to like, I mean, even just like strength training.
Yeah.
But facts. The mental performance side of the things, nutrition. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me see if I can take some of these things, kind of try and adopt into my own life and like see if it can help me kind of like get out of this little rut I'm in. And sure enough, like it certainly did. And just through conversations with a lot of the guys that like you and I played with, like talking about like, man, did you know about this? Or people are doing this from a mental standpoint. People were really interested. I was like, you know what? Like what people are doing on like the elite end of things, like it's so applicable for just the average person, but there's like a big knowledge gap.
Oh, that's real.
And so that's kind of where like the impetus for this podcast kind of came from. And so like along the way, dude, I've gotten to have awesome conversations with folks.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to reach out to you is like, one, you're playing in the NFL and you've played in the NFL now for a long time. You've probably defied the odds of just like the average NFL career, let alone a guy coming from the Ivy League. But what I'm assuming, I hope not incorrectly so, is you probably have a really unique perspective on just like perseverance, resilience, like the mindset it takes to succeed and like overcome adversity that I just think would be like so powerful for people.
Yeah. A lot has happened to me in my career, unfortunately. Yeah.
So yeah, man, as much as you're willing to talk about, dude, I'm all for it.
Yeah, all good. Nuts.
And I'll ask you this too, like, is there, anything in particular that like is top of mind for you? Like, I mean, I have this perspective of what it must be like. But if there's anything that comes to mind for you, it's like, what I really want people to understand is X. Like, dude, then let's talk about that.
I mean, there's always just the thing. I think social media helps a lot more now to educate people because I think the first thing is like, we don't make as much money as people think we make. Like, two, my salary is never guaranteed.
See, that's so crazy.
I only had one guaranteed thing since I entered the league. And that was my signing bonus when I got drafted. Yeah. I actually once got cut on cut day because as a veteran, if I'm on the 53-man roster week 1, they have to guarantee my salary for the full year. So they cut me coming out of camp and said, all right, we'll bring you back in a couple of weeks. And it brought me back week 3 and I played the rest of the year. Just because they didn't want to guarantee. But I appreciate them being honest. That was one thing. I was like, yeah, I get it. Y'all are cheap, but I'm not a $5 million a year salary guy. Like, I'm not really hitting y'all over the head. So even if y'all cut me later on and you still were on the books to pay me, it's not breaking your bank at all. Like, just because like if they cut me during the season, I would make that. And if I signed on to another team, I would have to get paid by them too. So I can double dip, which is a beautiful thing. It's really nice when it happens. I know like maybe 4 guys who it has happened for, and they were just like, yeah, I'm loving it.
That's amazing. Dude, the NFL contracts are so wild. Just the fact that, like you said, nothing is guaranteed unless it's explicitly like demanded within a contract. But just I pay attention to like the week to week rosters, and a lot of times I'm paying attention to you, and I'm just like, it's insane the amount of guys that are constantly shuffling around. Like people don't realize that.
And the worst part about that is that when you get shuffled around, you're expected to play like you've been there the whole year.
Right.
And I'm just like, listen here, like even last year, it was ridiculous last year. I went on I had like 6 or 7 workouts during the season. Some like me, some like, wow, we want to get a physical on him, see if we have any openings. One team worked like a bunch of people out 2 days before I got there and signed one and said, if I had been at the workout a couple of days before, I would have been on the team. I was like, it's not my fault. I was home. Like,
right.
But this past year, I went to the Cardinals. So I went there and I had worked out there earlier. Like this was week 13 or 14 at the time, and I had worked out there maybe week 4. Yeah. So by then I was like, all right, I don't know what's about to happen for the season. I might like not call it quits as a career, but at least call it for the season and just say, all right, we'll get back to things next spring, see who's talking next spring. So I was like, all right, let me ramp down my training and just like start doing maintenance stuff. Then they call and I'm like, oh God, all right, let's go. Like I'm happy because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get a chance to play. And then at the same time, I'm like, am I still in shape? Like these guys have been playing since September and I'm coming in late November, beginning of December on a team that's not going to the playoffs. So they're already a little more lackadaisical and I need the work. So I get there and first week I get in practice. I'm like, man, I show them the coach is like, oh man, you should have been on the team all along. We can't believe we got you. And I'm like, yeah, you know how the league is.
It's like, yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah. Like then the worst part is, so I get there and then all of a sudden I'm practicing. The coach is like, yeah, we're going to get you 20 to 25 snaps on Sunday. I'm like, I'm cool with that. I need that. That's fine. 20, 25, I can do that.
What would like normal be like if you'd been on the roster all year? That would be around
the reps for a rotational player would be around 15 to 20.
Okay.
15 to 20 snaps during a game. Which was like a good game. Like if I get 15 snaps, I'm killing those 15 snaps to the best of my ability. And that's like ideal for me.
Yeah.
Especially as a rotational backup. So like I get there and then that Saturday we finish the walkthrough. I do my reps and everything. Saturday, they're like, hey, the GM wants to talk to you real quick. I'm like, GM? Like, what y'all want to give me a contract extension? I only been here 4 days. And they're like, hey, we're going to have to let you go. And
what?
They said, we're going to have to let you go. We have to bump up. One of our DBs is hurt, and we want to bump up one guy from the practice squad, and you're the only guy we can risk not suiting up tomorrow or not being active tomorrow.
This is Arizona this last year?
Yeah. So this is the first game I'm there. And it's crazy. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Y'all do that. At least I still get paid for this week. And they're like, well, we want to bring you back on Monday. So a couple of weeks before this, I didn't even tell you this, but a couple of weeks before this, I had worked out for the Browns.
Okay. And
the Browns were like, we love you. We want to sign you. We just have to figure out how we can do this. So we want to keep you overnight. And then in the morning, we'll sign you. We're 98% sure. They called me the next morning. Hey, we couldn't make it happen. So they had me stay. I stayed at a hotel in Cleveland that night. And then they call me the next morning and they say, hey, we couldn't work it out. We have a car waiting for you outside to take you to the airport.
Do you even have a flight?
Yeah. By the time I get to the airport, there's a flight. There's a flight that's leaving in like 3 hours from then.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So when the Arizona's like, hey, we'll sign you back on Monday, and it's Saturday, I'm like, I really don't trust y'all. I really like at this point, I'm like, hey, listen, y'all, Cleveland. But the only reason why I stayed was because Arizona was so far from New York. So if they had called me and I went back to New York, I would be so upset having to do that flight again.
Right.
So I stayed.
It's cross country.
Yeah. So I had to stay.
Not to expose my lack of geography knowledge, but it's damn near. Yeah.
Trust me, I didn't until I went there. I did not realize how far it was.
Yeah.
I was like, this is in the middle of, yeah. So they tell me this and I'm like, all right, whatever. And And I don't know if they would have. And then the worst thing is the guy who says he wasn't going to play ends up playing. The guy who was hurt that I got released so another guy can bump up, that guy ends up playing. The other guy is inactive. The one that they bumped up.
So you could have just stayed on the roster.
So I could have been on the roster, could have played, which they were planning on giving me 20 to 25 snaps. And one of the guys, and then one of the D linemen gets hurt in that game. So then that's my.
So then they really needed you.
And then they were like, "Oh man, yeah, we really need you yesterday." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, bro. Like, don't try to make nice with me after you just cut me."
Right.
I mean, and I get bonus money per play, so they took money out of my pocket too.
Oh yeah.
And then I went on that next week to start. I started 3 games at the end of the year. I went from.
I have so many questions. Go ahead. I'm going to jot them down because this is just so crazy to me.
It's ridiculous, but I went from on the street at home, to on the roster, to back on the street, to playing 40 snaps, 41 snaps, and then 56 snaps.
So, like, mentally, I have so many questions, but like, like you were saying, how do you go from not even being on that team all year to after only a handful of practices, like being asked to start? Like, how do you take in the playbook? Like, is your role simplified in any way that it's more digestible, or is it just like, dude, you gotta come on board and figure it out in the next week? Yeah,
they're not cutting the playbook to help me out. They're not doing anything. And I mean, there's some coaches that come into NFL that are stealing. I think they had a really good defensive coordinator. D-line coaches were not on the same page, which was a struggle. So for me as an individual, I'm like, listen, if I'm here at the end of the year, my technique is my technique. Don't try to change the way I play. It is what it is. You can help me out, learn the playbook, but don't touch the way I play. It's too late. There's not enough time. What you trying to change? Like, I'm not going to change. It's like, what is it? Like 10,000 hours. I'm not going to change. And yeah. So it was, I had normally in some situations it's easier. Like I went to, when I went to the Redskins in like 2017, like my big journeyman year. Yeah. And the coach was like, listen, I don't know if you're going to play, but if you play, all you're going to do is pass rush. So you don't need to know the playbook. So he didn't teach me the playbook. And I was on the roster for 4 weeks. I did not know a single play. What? Your job was just when you're on the field, it's a pass rush. I never played. I was inactive. He knew I was not going to play. And he was just like, well, we can show you, like, all I did was one-on-ones in practice. All I did, like, literally, he gave me like every single one-on-one for every single position. He was like, just go, just rush. Go back again, show him you can rush. And I would just win. And then they brought a guy who played the same position as me on the roster, and I was still on the roster, just sitting there, just like, I don't know why I'm here anymore. Kind of waiting for the day for them to cut me. Dude, so like mentally, and I hope you're cool that we're like starting already. You're good. Because now this story is awesome. Mentally though, like how do you deal with all of this? Man, I think if this would have happened to me in my second or third year in the league, it would be a lot rougher. Like just being able to know, I know who I am. I know I can play ball. Yeah. Just the playbook thing is simple to understand after a while. Every team has their nuances, but like the reason why I'm here is because I can play football, and I can play football. Once I figure out the way that they want me to play, I'm just like, all right, I got this. But when I was younger, I had so much like doubt, anxiety, all that stuff. Like I had to get like a sports psychologist my first, like after my rookie year, going into my second year, because I was just all over the place. Yeah. So having that experience, and then like now I'm just like, all right, you need me to play tomorrow. I might not be in shape, but I can give you a good 10, 15 plays. Right. Yeah.
How did the sports psychologist kind of help your approach to the game? Was it more like dealing with like your confidence in like your ability, or was it? Let me just ask you, like, what was it?
Yeah, it was it was definitely one, confidence in my ability.
Right.
Because when I got into the league, I was a 5th rounder from Princeton, who was on the same D line as Ndamukong Suh.
Oh, he's pretty good.
Yeah, and Nick Fairley was really good. Both of them, and I was supposed to be, and there was another 11-year vet on the team.
Okay.
So it was those two monsters, CJ Mosley, really good vet.
Yep.
And then me. So, and the funniest thing ever, my first game, the coach was like, we really have a 3-man rotation. Sue, Nick, and CJ. You'll be there just in case of emergencies. Okay. Like literally, Star Spangled Banner is playing or whatever. Right. And then he's telling me this right after. So I'm like, hyped up. Let's go. And then he tells me, yeah, you're not going to play.
He's like, just take it easy.
Yeah, he's like, you have your one job on goal line, and that's it. So for me, like my whole rookie year, like it wasn't until week 10 of my rookie year in which like things just started to turn on for me. Like most people hit the wall, but I was at the wall from jump. So I was I was just banging away at that thing. And then like we played the Patriots. Then I had some really productive stuff. And my coach was like, this game was the first game that you finally looked like an NFL defensive lineman. Okay. And then after that game, I didn't play again for the rest of the year. Really? They had a numbers thing with like Reggie Bush. So like you got a Reggie Bush Caraun, you know. Ah, okay. Yeah. So they went 3D linemen for the rest of the year. And because they had another guy who could play inside on pass rushing downs. Yeah. So it was a little weird. But I needed that confidence boost greatly just because my coach told me straight up. He said, listen, the way that you played this year will not be good enough to keep you in the league next year. Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, I appreciated the guy that drafted me. So, I love him to death he was always honest with me. Yeah. And I love him for death for that because he was like, listen, I'll tell you straight up, you come back the way you left here, like you might get on the practice squad, but we don't see you making this team next year. Wow. Which was cool. So, I mean, I got in the offseason with Sue, did everything he did, and then I got hooked up with his sports psychologist, and we literally just hammered on like literally every single detail of like from me waking up in the morning, what I tell myself on the way to work, what I tell myself like before practice, what I tell myself when I'm getting down in my stance, how I review plays, like being in the moment, being present in the moment. Yeah. Like that was the biggest thing for me, like just being present in the moment. Like I could tell based upon a play, like no one has to, if I was focused on a play, no one has to tell me what I did right or wrong. Because I'm just like, yeah, I know. I messed that step up. My hand should have been here, but it was here. Like it's very like, so for those little things of just being in the moment and having that ability to self-evaluate, it was like the biggest thing that I took away from that. So even to this day, like I keep it. I have every time I go to the game, I have like 3 things written on my arm. Like these are my steps, whether it's like stance, get off, hands. 3 things that I need to like make sure I do every single play. Because if I do that, then I'm more likely to be successful than unsuccessful. So, I mean, you said it was the ability to self-evaluate. So was it like giving you the confidence in that you were able to make the right decisions? Or was it like, I don't know, like what kind of like did he change about your perspective that kind of like, because you've been in the league now 6 more years on top of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think changed? It was just, it was definitely like ability to be like, I'm coming in here and I'm going to wreck stuff. Yeah. And I don't think I ever had, like, I had that killer instinct in college, but that's just because I thought everyone was trash. So it was a lot easier. It's a lot easier to play when you think your opponent is straight garbage. Yeah. Yeah. You're the big fish. Yeah. I was like, this, like, they would be getting together on like Friday nights to watch film. I'm like, yo, I'm good. Yeah, I watch film. I'm good.
So, I mean, do you think in that change from year 1 to year 2, was it just the mental piece, or was it a combination of both, like the training with Sue? Like, did you come back physically at another level than when you left year 1?
Yeah, I was like 20% body fat, and I shredded down to like 15.
Okay.
I lost a little weight, but I was eating better. I had a chef. So I was eating a lot better, more consistently. It costs a lot of money, but like, I think that was one of the things that whole period of time in which I spent a bunch of money just to start pretty much was what saved my career. Even though it was like, yeah, you could have been a statistic of just being like in there 1 year and then out the next. But that whole thing and being able to be a starter in the league for 14, 12 games, something like that. Yeah. That got me right. And then I think that plus the mental piece of just being able to focus, and like, I used to be thinking about how I would look on film before the play even began.
Is that just a byproduct of like how heavily you guys are scrutinized in the league?
Yeah, and that kind of came at me during college. Like my last year, just a lot of pressure, a lot of people putting, like even me putting more pressure on the moment than it actually was. Like people were talking about film, like NFL, like right before the season started, I was like the top 1AA NFL prospect, and I was like it was a little daunting because I was like, for real? All right. I was like, I don't know who else is out there, but all right, let's go. But so I was just in my head a little bit, and some of the coaches called some terrible blitzes that made me do a lot of things that I was like, and I didn't get my stats up, and I started to get worried about that. So that kind of like seeped into like my rookie year, in which like I wasn't able to be who I was because I was so worried about doing things right. Yeah. And then I became like kind of robotic. And I was like, well, I checked this square off. I got my hands on him. He went down. So I went this way. Okay. Ball ran past me. Oh no. Like there's little things that I wasn't playing football. Like
you weren't playing.
Yeah. I was checking boxes, but I wasn't playing ball. Which is one of the things that I've just learned like over time. It's like, listen, you gotta like, it's crazy. Your old coach would say this a bunch, like just be a football player. And I just wouldn't like it. It makes sense when you're like the freedom, but like when you're trying to learn, get a good answer to a question, it's a terrible answer. But like when you're trying to like understand the freedom of the game, that's like, yeah, I need to be a football player instead of like trying to be someone who's just a placeholder. Yeah. Especially at D-line when you're supposed to disrupt and display stuff. Like,
yeah. And I could see how, I mean, in football, it's even more evident, right? Yeah. Because like, people could probably relate to this in all facets of their life. Like you just feel like you start going through the motions and like on paper, you're doing the right things. But like in football, if you do that, like you get exposed really quickly.
Or you're just another guy. Yeah. Like you can do that O-line, not to bash O-linemen because they have a hard job, but like at O-line, do your job.
Right.
And if you're a big two gap in nose, hold the two gap, right? If you're supposed to be a disruptive 3 technique, disruptive 5 technique, on best on defense, even if you're supposed to be a disruptive nose, you gotta go. Yeah. You got to go and don't worry about what's happening tomorrow or what's happening in this play. Like you go, you mess everything up, and then you figure out things from there. Yeah.
Like so take me to season 2, man. So you start how many? Almost 14 games?
Yeah, I think it was like 12. So I started off the year. So man, just tragic stuff happens. I was in camp competing with the one dude for the starting job.
Let's
right?
hear it, man. Because I think, yeah.
So I was competing with this one guy for the starting job during camp, going neck and neck, whatever. Practice, every practice, it was like, all right, he's the starter of this practice. All right, now he's the starter of this practice. Okay, he's the starter of this practice. We get to the first game, I get a sack, whatever, all good in the hood. And then second game, I end up being a starter. And then like second play of the game, someone rolls on my ankle. And so I have an ankle sprain. So then they're like, all right, you're on the team because I came back second year and like focused. I didn't care what happened. I was like, if you try to block me, I'm getting in the backfield. You might block me, but I'm disrupting something.
Yeah.
So I at least learned that lesson. So we're in camp, whatever. Second preseason game, roll my ankle, high ankle sprain. I'm like, man, it's just tragic because I was doing good. Like, but coaches would say, like, they've never seen a player take such a great step from year one to year two.
Okay.
Because like year one, tier player, year two, legitimate starter.
Yeah. And for you, I mean, like, you know, what do you attribute it to? Was it just the sports psych? Was it what was it? Was it just the mentality of like that like you said, like I don't care what happens, I'm going to disrupt something?
Yeah, it was like I had to get that instinct in. Like just like not like Terminator, but like I have one mission. Like it was crazy. I don't know how I mentally. I mean, now I understand it as like this is routine for me. But mentally, I would just get down. I'd be so wired. It's like, all right, I knew the way that we played in Detroit. There was like, if I'm in a 3 technique, I get off. He goes down. I go down flat off his tail. If he tries to reach me, there's no way he's reaching me because I'm puncturing his shoulder. If he tries to give me a flash trap, I'm not biting on the flash. I'm going down with him. Like so, there's only like a couple reactions that you have. Yeah. So I just wired in on these reactions, and you weren't going to get me. Like no matter what, you weren't going to get me. Yeah. Like I was so wired that then wherever the ball was, you would have to run to the ball and touch the ball carrier in practice.
Huh. Okay.
So even if it was like a bomb down the field, 60 yards. Oh yeah, you got to haul butt and go.
Oh, even in the NFL.
Yeah, that was just the way that they trained us mentally. So me mentally, I was just like, gotcha. Good. I got it. No one's going to outrun me to the ball. No one's going to beat me here. No one's going to do this to me. So I would just go.
Yeah.
And
so you just had that killer instinct.
Yeah. And once I got that, man, I didn't have no doubt. Like I didn't doubt I had some doubts with like, I was still working on my pass rush stuff and trying to be a better pass rusher and trying to figure out that side of the game. Cause like, it's a little different than college, but at the same time, like if you have confidence in your moves and your moves are decent moves, they're going to work. Just getting that down is just like, all right, no one's going to deny me. Cause I mean, I realize like that I'm a good football player. Right. I realize there are things that I do better than most people in the league. Yeah. And when I put those things together, I'm a legitimately good player. Yeah. I'm not no Aaron Donald. I'm not, but I can ball. I can ball a lot better than a lot of guys who are stealing out here. Yeah. So, So I realized that my second year.
Okay. And then I cut you off. I apologize. So we're in week 2. You roll your ankle.
Yeah.
But you've made a big jump.
Yeah. So they're like, all right, you're on the team. We just got to get you healthy.
Okay.
Then I start to get back healthy. Miss week 1. I think I missed week 2 against some other team. And then week 3, I think I'm back, which is the first game against the Broncos, who won the Super Bowl that year. Okay. And I am like struggling. But it's just like, they're just like, yeah, you're rusty, whatever. You're rusty. It's fine. Yeah. Then Then the next game after that is the Seahawks game. Then, oh man, that game went rough because Haloti got hurt. The other guy who I was competing with the starting job, he broke his leg.
Oh wow!
Then so it's me and a rookie. Oh, okay. And the rookie was kind of like me, like the year before, where it's like I'm not really sure. He had a little more bravado. He was a little more outspoken. I knew I wasn't nothing. But he was acting
no one
like
told him yet.
He needed a reality check.
Yeah.
So it was me and him in the Seahawks game, and I was like, "Ooh, Lord have mercy." And like at the end of the game, I get a touchdown that game.
Yeah, I remember this game.
Yeah, literally that game. It's only 2 of us out there.
No way.
Yeah. So I get a touchdown, and the coach is like, "Hey, love you. Yeah, good job. Yeah, get back out there."
Wasn't this Monday Night Football?
Monday Night Football.
Dude, I remember because I texted you after that game because I'm a Seahawks fan, and I was watching. I was like, "What? Caraun!" Jumping off my couch.
So like literally like after that guy gets hurt, it's like, oh, you're the starter now.
Yeah,
like you competed for this in the season, and you're the starter now. And the next game after that, oh man, it was bad ball because it was me again and the rookie. He was starting too because Haloti was out.
Yeah,
and that game was tough. Arizona, it was probably one of the worst defensive games. Well, I don't know. They scored like 44 points on like 30 plays. Yeah, it was really bad. It was rough. Like, yeah, but it's because of the way that Seahawks game ended. Like sometimes guys aren't able to recover.
Right. And a short week.
Yeah, but they brought it. Like I was talking when I was at Arizona. I was talking to one of the guys who was there. He was talking about how like Bruce Arians tells him how much like he loves productivity, and he was like, "This was the most productive game he's been a part of." And I was like, "You're welcome." It was like the center for them, and I was like, "Yeah, that's crazy." And like it's funny because I meet like guys that I played against in that game, and they're like, "Yeah, we remember that game." Like I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I think I played against you." One of the guys I met, Mike Ayupati. It's like, "I think I remember your name from Silver." I was like, "Yeah." I don't want to talk about it.
Oh no, it's probably just airport or something.
And I had like my grade for that game was so bad. It was so bad that my coach texted Sue because by then Sue was in Miami, and Sue texted me my score for the grade, my grade for the game. He was like, "This is what you putting out there?" I was like, "No, not again, not again." Yeah. And then after that moment, then it was on.
Yeah.
Then it was on.
How'd you turn it around?
I think because it was a little bit like you take so much time off. And that's one of the things I talked about earlier. Like when you take time off of football and everyone's still going, it's really hard to, especially at certain positions where you can't really replicate it without actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get back in. So literally I nitpicked myself. I hated watching that film, but I watched it over and over and over again. My coach cussed me out. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. This ain't going to happen again."
Yeah.
Like that was it. Like when you have the beauty of like having good relationships and having good coaches is like, they know, like, and they know they don't got to yell at you to get you going. Like I hate when a coach tries to yell at me because I'm just like, bro, I'm a man. Like here, you're not going to talk to me like I'm a college kid. Even in college, they yelled at me. I just sat there silently.
Right.
Like I remember Boric and Verbit trying to get a rise out of me, but I would not budge. And they thought like I just had no emotion for the game. I just didn't want to respond to them yelling because I didn't want to give them that power.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
dude,
yeah, so
I love it.
So he got to me. It's in Chris Cassari. He's coaching the 49ers D line right now. Like
okay.
all them dogs up front. So when you see them hunting like the way they are, yeah, they're really talented, but it's because of that, man.
Yeah, they're pretty good about now.
But he was like, "Hey, you can't have this happen." And then I don't remember what the game was after that, but I think maybe like 2 games later we played the Vikings. Okay. And I had my best game that I've had since I've been in the NFL. I had like 4 TFLs. A sack, a bunch of quarterback hits. Like that was a game in which my coach said, if you would have told me last year that you would have had a game like this, I would laugh and say you're joking. Yeah. Like it was just one of those days that I felt like I'm on. But like everything, the guy just couldn't, no matter where I lined up, the dude was just like not ready. Yeah. And it was like coach asked me when I got the sack, he was like, "What'd you do?" I said, "Coach, I don't even know."
So take me through like the rest of that season, right? Because now you're at a point where you're starting, you're balling out, right?
I don't know about balling out, but I'm playing.
You're playing. All right.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say balling out because I mean I had like 30 plus tackles, but it was we had some highs and we had some lows. But I had some really good games there, which like kept establishing myself, kept making my name known.
Okay.
Later on that season, someone else, terribly, the same ankle is it the same ankle? Yeah, the same ankle that I sprained earlier. So we get a new guy coming in the season, and he's rusty, and he's not playing. We actually get two new guys. It's kind of weird because our GM got fired midway.
Okay.
Then we had it's GM getting fired was the whole reason I got out of Detroit the next year because the new GM wasn't a fan of guys who weren't over 320.
Okay.
Yeah, so the GM gets fired and they start bringing a bunch of new guys, and then they were playing the Raiders, and I'm killing this dude. We're playing the Raiders, and one of the guys takes a bad step, and the old lineman just shoves him, and he lands on my ankle, and all I feel are like crunches. Then so he got some bone spurs got displaced, and now they're just floating around my ankle, and I'm just hurting.
Yeah.
And then from there, then it's like a whole nother time of like me trying to thug it out for the rest of the year. Then I'm just like, I don't really feel good. And I'm just like trying to thug it out because the coach. And then like at this point, like the coach is like, listen, you can sit out a game and we'll let you'll still be a starter when you get back. And I'm just so shook because I'm like, nah, I can't go back. Like I know what happens to guys when they do this. Next thing you know, I'm on IR. And then I can't finish out the year. But then I try to thug it out. I do decent enough, but it's definitely a decent drop off from like where I should have been. I still play well, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
But I finish out the year, then go to year 3 with a new GM, and I'm getting ankle surgery to get a scope. And in my mind, I'm like, listen, I started last year. That should at least give me some leeway of like, all right, we like this guy. The GM drafts somebody in the second round, signs 2 free agents. Halodi's back. So that's 4 people right there.
Right.
Then I don't even know if there's going to be a 5th D lineman role, but literally he signs 4. So I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen here. My buddy's like, hey, just tell him you want to trade. I'm like, I don't have the juice like that to be requesting a trade in my 3rd year after like being hurt. But so I go through there and like, I don't do anything in the spring. I get back in the spring.
Okay.
And then I pull my calf.
Okay.
So I like don't get to participate for the rest of the spring. And they're like, yeah, we don't care about this. We just want you ready for camp. So I miss all of the spring, come back in for camp, pretty rusty. And by this time, like my coach is like, listen, the GM is trying to write you off. And I'm trying to let him know, like, once you get going, you're good. Yeah. And lo and behold, like I start getting going in like the 2nd, 3rd game of the preseason. And then my coach is like, and then like I could feel it. I could feel just the way things are because I've been on the team for the past 2 years, so I can feel it. Like when you're not going forward with the team, right? Like they start to like have, all right, first group this, second group this, and then you have one guy rotating in the second group, and I'm like in the 3rd group, and I'm like, and the guys are looking at me like, yo, Caraun, what's good? And I'm like, bro, I don't know. Yeah, because I just started last year. Yeah. Like, and I'm just like, bro, I don't know what's happening, but I just do what I got to do. Like, practice is nothing for me at this point. Like, going against guys in the 3rd group, I'm just like, bro, just trade me or let me go. Like, I do the 4th preseason game, kill it, and I'm just like, yo, I'm ready to go at this point. I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. I tell my chef, I'm like, yo, I'm not about to be here. I'm ready to start packing a go bag. They released me. Man. They released me, and the GM was like, yeah, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, I want to just say thank you for all the good things that you did for this organization. I'm like, all right. And then like when I go to like the head coach to do the drafting, I'm about to cry because I'm like, coach, like I'm just sad. I'm like, I was ready to leave, but I didn't want to leave, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things like, all right, I get how the situation is going and I know what's about to happen. So I'd rather it happen sooner rather than later. Whatever that happens. And then meet with the coach. And then I meet with my D-line coach. He's like, man, I try to tell them that you could play. And then but by that time that you really came alive, they already just moved on and picked their 5 for the year. And the crazy thing, he didn't even tell me about who the 5th guy was that they chose for the D-line, because he knew I would have been upset if he told me, because that guy was not better than me at all, by far. But they had given him some guaranteed money. So he told me the 3 guys that they picked, and I was like, okay. And then when I saw the list, I said, he got? And I was like, all right, forget Detroit. We ended up, I went up to the Chargers that year.
Yeah.
And then they were like, when I got there, I was playing, they're like, how did you get cut?
Right.
I was like, man, it's literally everywhere I've been. That's like the whole story. Like, how are you on the street? How'd you get cut? I was like, bro, this league is crazy. You can, if you were in a good situation with the same GM for all these years, you can have a really nice, somewhat tumultuous free career.
Yeah.
But if you end up with a bunch of different GMs, man.
So I mean, like, people are terrified of rejection. And I feel like from what I'm hearing so far, like the NFL is just nothing but like rejection and adversity. Like how do you deal with that? Is that something that you were just kind of like, you're naturally equipped to deal with? Or is it like a resiliency that you've like built up over the years?
Yeah. I think the first time I got released, I was like, it hit me hard. Like, I was like, man, this is wild.
Yeah.
But then I got picked up the next day.
Okay.
The fourth year, when I was hurt and I'm coming off the ACL, which I shouldn't have done. And then I got released, but then I did not get picked up the next day. That one was tough. Like, cause I was home just waiting.
Yeah.
So that was the time I actually had to look at, because at least like first time I get picked up. It's like, all right, cool. That's not real. That's like just like a transfer.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting at home and you see other guys and teams are like, yeah, we'd rather go with these guys than you.
Right.
Then that hits. But at the end of the day, you're just like, I just had to be like so sure of myself. And I mean, just because I've seen what's out there. Like once you see the other guys that you're competing with, you go on a team and it's like, you guys are like, why aren't you playing? Like when I was on the Redskins for those like 4 weeks, the strength coach was like, you're not suiting up on Sunday? I was like, nah. He's like, what? Because he would see the practice and he would see me in practice and he's like, this guy's good.
Right.
It's like, you're not suiting up on Sunday? And then the defensive coordinator would be like, don't worry, man. We're going to give you your shot. I'm like, all right, whatever. But like, when you know what's out there, it's like, all right, a lot of these things are business decisions.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are business decisions because I know I could play on any D-line in the NFL. There's some that aren't built for me, but I know that I can play on any D-line in the NFL.
Yeah.
Regardless of it's a 3-4 or 4-3. So I know I'm confident in my abilities, whereas that's regarded. But it's just harder to sit at home and to be waiting around for something that might not come. That's the only thing that's a little difficult to deal with.
Yeah. So how do you stay focused during those times, right? Because I mean, like, I've got all the places you played up in front of me, but I mean, since San Diego, you went back to Detroit, Washington, Indianapolis, Dallas, Arizona. Like, it's incredible. Like, you've been playing since 2014.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like a lot of those times, man, there must have been so many moments where you're like, is this it? Did that ever cross your mind? Maybe I'm assuming too much. No,
so it's crossed my mind twice. So in 2017, when I was bouncing around a bunch of teams, And then, but in the initial time in which I was home and I wasn't getting any workout calls, then I was like, like I didn't know what to do. Because it was just so foreign for me to be home for 6 weeks. And then this past year, at least I would, like, when I'm not getting workout calls, then it's a weird time. So even like I talked with my agent and we were just talking about like, all right, if you don't get a call by this date, then I think it's time to start thinking next steps in like life. And then I was like, woo, I don't know about that yet.
Right.
Then then I had like 2 workouts in which I killed the workouts. Yeah. Like just went straight ham. Like no one, like, and then like the way that they talked about me after the workouts, he was like, all right, no, you're good. Because one of the things I got knocked on is my weight. Like when I got released by Indy in this past preseason, they said like, oh, we're looking for some bigger bodies. And I was like,
and what are you weighing right now for people listening?
I would now
at that time, maybe.
At that time I was 295.
Okay. Yeah.
But
light.
The thing is that I never look my weight because I'm more muscle than fat.
Right.
Like you.
Thanks, man.
But like, so
we're gonna take that clip and that'll be the promo.
Like, so for me, I'm just like, I'm 295.
Yeah.
This joker that you're cutting me for is 285. But he's tall. That's another knock that I get. But like, so I would get that knock. So what I did this past year for my whatever, I put on like 20 pounds. I like went
did you really?
From the preseason, I was like, I lost some weight at the end of preseason because I was like started to train back heavy and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be 290. And then I heard people saying like, we would talk to teams and be like, yeah, we're just looking for a bigger body. And I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna be the bigger body you're gonna need. So I went from 290 to 312.
Wow.
Yeah, I was not playing. Like I literally like, it was harder to run, but like, I was like, listen, no one's ever going to use that excuse again. You're going to have to find something else in your notebook to use other than we need a bigger body. Because if you need a bigger body, I can be 315. I just choose not to be because why? Like if I can do the same things at 295 and still be just as effective, it makes no sense for me to be 315 just to check the box.
Arbitrarily.
Yeah. But since I realized like, all right, if I want to get to 10 years, this is what I have to do. Then I'm not going to be an idiot and be like, I'm standing on my principle. Like I'm not trying to
295 or bust.
Yeah. I'm not trying to lose money because I did not want to gain weight. Like, so right now I'm just like,
so what are you at right now?
I'm like 305, 307. I have to continue to do, I'm going to do another bod pod to make sure that it's the right weight. Because when I put it on
now, what's bod pod?
Or not bod pod, like a body fat measuring system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think the one I have access to is like a stem one where you put your hands on the poles and your stem runs through. Yeah. So that I have to do that just to make sure I'm on the right track. Because I don't want to. Last year I was just eating. Because I was like, I need to put on these pounds faster than or sooner rather than later. Yeah. So like I remember I had one workout with the Raiders, I was 308, and then like next week I had a workout with the Texans, I was like 312.
Oh wow.
And they were like, you're 312? I was like, yeah. Because
sign me. Come on, man.
Literally, like I would tell, like they would call me, like, "Are you ready to work out?" I'm like, "Yeah." How much you weighing? 308. You can move at 308. Yeah. Like I just choose not like everything's a choice. Like I think a lot of guys that look bigger bodies just have bellies, but like if they took away their belly, they would all be like 280.
Right. No, yeah, you're right. If you boiled it down to just like muscle mass.
Yeah, I'm just like. But
so how are you training then when you're at home? Because in the off season you said you're in Portland, right?
Yeah. So I have a really good trainer. He's like modified some stuff. I had to buy a bunch of gym equipment. Like I bought like 3 pile boxes, a TRX, a couple of kettlebells that I think I got overcharged on. Yeah.
If you bought them recently, then
yeah, I know I bought like 60. Is it 60 pounds? Probably like 26. Yeah, that's like 60-pound kettlebells. The guy didn't have like a sticker at the store. He just spitballed. He said, well, it's normally around $2 per pound. So let's just call it, let's call it 240 for the two of them, huh? I was like, what?
Dude, you got to call me for the negotiation. That's all I do all day.
I literally had just got off a plane from Portland. It was when I first came over. I got off the plane and drove straight to like any gym that was open because it was like everything's shutting down. And I was just so unprepared.
Yeah.
And then everything else on Amazon is like, So I bought like a bunch of stuff and luckily there's a park that's open. But before I realized the park was open, I was running on the side of a parkway. Because the grass was green and it was like,
oh my gosh,
undisturbed, and I needed to get my runs in.
And most people driving by are like, oh, there's a crazy guy out here running. No, he's an NFL player.
And I'd be yelling too. They're definitely in the Bronx. They definitely think crazy big guy because there's nobody from that.
Right, dude. The Bronx, yeah, absolutely.
So they just look at me. It's like, what's he doing? Why is he yelling? Why is he running? I'm not running that far either. It's just
right. Just short bursts. So how does it work now? Because all right, you were on Arizona for what, the last 3 games?
Yeah. So 3. I got the 4. I got the game check for the game they cut me before. So yeah.
Right. The game day where they didn't need you but actually needed you. So how does that work then? Are you a part of Arizona's off-season squad? Like
no, not thankfully, but we didn't sign a 2-year because you never know I did that when I did that at Indy at the end of 2017.
Okay.
And then by the time 2018 came along, they had drafted pieces so that were just like drafted and signed people, and it was like, we don't need you. So you end up in a terrible situation and you're stuck rather than being free to like join any other team. So I had to be on Indy in 2018, and that's a whole nother experience of like literally doing nothing all year.
Really?
Yeah, I did like 2 plays of practice, and I was just miserable. I was like, someone get me out of here.
Yeah.
Then I went to Dallas for 10 days and did enough in those 10 days to earn the contract. But then they were like, that was the team that was like, we don't want to guarantee your salary, so we'll sign you back later. But yeah, so right now I'm free, which is a good thing. Especially given the way that things are working out with COVID and the fact that there's no real spring ball. Like teams have off-season programs and they have meetings, which are not really that great meetings. So they're doing that whole thing right now. And right now I'm just waiting. Teams are going to figure things out in July right now / through July as they try to understand who they have on their team. And then as camp begins, you kind of see like, can this rookie contribute right away? Is he going to be like key in the development? Do we need to get a veteran in because we're not unsure with this rookie? Yeah. And then you have the high probability that there will be a good amount of injuries because guys are missing this time of year.
Right.
So that's another thing because especially guys don't know. Most guys, a good amount of guys don't know how to train properly. Guys just go out and just train. And they're like, if I sweat and I work hard, I do these 2-a-days, it's going to work out for success. But it's like, oftentimes you don't need to be doing that at this time of year. Like the season's not starting till September. You don't need to be doing 2-a-days. Like I want to say, like people see like JJ Watt, what he does. And that's insane. Like, I mean, if you have 24 hours in the day, there's no reason why you need to wake up at 3 a.m. to work out. But some guys do that stuff because it like gives them that kind of bravado, like, yeah, I'm working. But at the same time, they're also putting themselves at risk. So you have that whole thing. So I've for like a guy like me and like other veteran free agents that are out there, who are not signed, it's a really good situation to be in, just because you might get into a better situation than you had previously anticipated.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just like, I'm not expecting to sign anywhere, probably till August or maybe late July.
Okay.
I mean, which is ideal for me, just because I'm not missing out on any money.
Got it.
Yeah, and I get to train by myself or with my trainer from Portland that gives me the good workouts. So
yeah. So how are you approaching training now then? And I guess how has that changed over time as you've kind of understood like what the actual demands are to be ready for an NFL season?
Yeah, the biggest thing is like skill position training. Is important, but it's like you can't just do everything. So I make sure I take care of my trainer from Oregon. He's exceptional. He's really good. I mean, he trains Sue, so like you see, like Sue's somebody who can play 55 snaps a game and won't get tired. Well, he'll get tired, but he won't. His play will not diminish.
Right, it's not going to drop off.
Yeah, not going to. Yeah, from play 1 to play 55. So whereas conditioning wise and where that's concerned, we're keeping consistent with that. The biggest piece that needs to be picked up is the like skill position work in terms of combat, hand-to-hand combat, which is going to be missing because I'm not going to get plays in. But I got like this like pop-up dummy that has arms that are like metal arms and all that stuff. So I got that. I just got that delivered to the house so I can work on, at least I can have a body in front of me. Yeah. That if I hit the arms hard enough, like they're not going to be like, hey bro, that's too hard. Like it's a dummy. So,
right.
So I make sure I work on that like 3 to 4 times a week, just get my mind right. I mean, it's a little difficult with like playbooks because there's no playbook for me to learn. But at the end of the day, like football is football. I mean, every team has a different name for the same stunts. Like as a 3 technique, you're only going to go straight forward, inside, straight forward and back, or outside. Yeah. Like there will be a different names attached to it, but you have to make sure like you're good at what you can do. Right. Because I realized, like if you don't define yourself and what you're good at, these coaches will like look at you and try to put something on you that you don't do. Like they'll tell you, hey, you should do this. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. Like it happens a lot. Like I look at it and like I'd rather not. Like I know what I'm good at from my left side, from my left side. And I know what I'm good at from my right side. So there's certain moves I'm not going to do based upon where I am, but I'm going to continue to work on them. But if you're like, hey, shoot your fastball right now or throw your fastball, I'm like, all right, bet I got it. This is what I do here. Yeah. But like the thing is, like if you don't define that, like as a youngin, like I didn't know. I didn't take any of the moves that I had this one guy who was like a technique coach that messed with my head. Like honestly, he was telling me all that stuff you did at Princeton is not gonna work in the league. And then so that got me like down in myself. Like he was supposed to help, but he actually hurt. Right. Because I was like, a lot of his moves, like I'm hitting people with a swipe in college. I did that in college. I hit people with a swipe in the league. Right. Like it's not you define like your closing, how you end. Like the biggest difference with like NFL and college is like college, you could be lazy off a good move and win. The NFL, you can't be lazy off that move. So if I swipe somebody and I get past them, I have to expect that their body's coming. I have to expect that they're coming with something else that I have to counter. Yeah. Like, but in the college, swipe, oh, I'm gone. That's a sack. Yeah. Yeah. But that's all the things. Like during this time of year, I'm like ranting. Sorry.
No, this is good, man. And actually, I think this is actually something that I think is actually really applicable for people, right? Yeah. It's like at some point, like whatever it is that you're, trying to be great at, like you kind of got to understand where your strengths are and lean in on them, right? Yeah. Like I think about it, in a lot of different facets of my life, but like if I took everyone's advice and I constantly tried to adapt to what everyone thought was the best way to do it, like I'd be a master of none. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's real.
So no, you think you're rambling. I actually think that's great. And one thing I've always been interested in too is at this point in your career, I feel like for probably so much of your life, you're trying to get stronger, you're trying to get faster. Is that still a focus for you, or are you at a point now where it's like where you need to be effective, and you're just more concerned about like maintaining that level? Like, what's that like from a training perspective for you?
We really don't. I mean, especially now, it's tough. But
right, yeah,
it's tough to be like because I can't order a bunch of kettlebells, but we have like certain markers. Like I remember. We work on like a lot more functional strength and functional movements and being strong within different areas of mobility. So like I need to be just as strong when I'm stretching my arm out fully extended as I am when my arm is close to my body or when my hand is close to my body. I need to have that same level of strength, because if I don't, then I'm compromised based upon where my hand is. Yeah. So one of the things my trainer works really well on is like us using our core, not that being abs or anything like that, but just us having stability in all of our movements. I remember in the beginning of this year, he had us going down to like a 6-inch box on a squat for like a lateral squat. And I was just like, I've never. I was like, I have never. And he's like, yeah, by the end of this year, you should be able to get up from the ground. Oh, wow. And I was like, yeah, let's revisit that. But like, those are the kind of measurables that he sets out. So for me, I love it because so often in college, like I remember like my last couple of years, I was like, I'm not trying to, like you have the whole squat max and the coaches are telling you like, well, you haven't grown in your squat max. I'm like, I'm at 600. What do you want me to do? Like, I'm not going to like be squatting 550 for reps. I'm not. Yeah. Like, and it's like, does that even translate? Probably negatively, to be honest. Like if I get really good at squatting, like exactly. The game is not played like who can squat the most. And I would have issues squatting too. Like I would have issues like as soon as I finished squatting, I like couldn't walk for a little bit. Like I would get so tight and I didn't realize like how tight my hips were. Yeah. But now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. Like I still have a great amount of power. I have a great amount of power in my legs, but my ability to sink lower and to operate at a lower level is so key. Oh, that's awesome. So that's one of the things that like we work so much more on. My trainer's like, I would rather have you use the lighter weight and get more depth than use a heavy weight and go nowhere. So that's one of the things like he even got me on. I think we were doing squats yesterday with like a kettlebell and I was going 2 kettlebells in my hand. And he was like, no, just go a goblet. I had 2 weight vests on. It's like, go goblet, 2 weight vests and just get your depth because I want the depth rather than this weight. Cause I mean, yeah. No, that makes sense. Well, let me ask you this. What is this going to be? What season would this be? Going to 7. How do you feel now versus when you were a rookie? Like, do you feel, and I'm asking because it's like, dude, the wear and tear of an NFL season must be insane, let alone 7 of those. Yeah. It's like, physically and emotionally, like, how do you feel now versus like when you were a rookie? Oh man. So the beautiful thing about it's beautiful and not beautiful because I lost money. So I didn't have as much wear and tear as somebody would going into year 7. Yeah. Because like my rookie year, I played 10. Like I haven't even played it's crazy. I'm vested, have all 6 years vested, but I have not played a full 16 yet. I've been active for a full 16. I think even when I was in Dallas, I was inactive like 2 games, but we went to the playoffs for 2 games. So I got like 13, 14. But like my wear and tear isn't crazy. I had the knee injury because one of my teammates decided not to pick his head up when he tackled. But yeah, besides that, like that's really been the biggest hurdle. But for me, I feel I was thinking about it the other day because I was like jumping over hurdles at the house, and I was like,
I saw that on Instagram.
I was like, these hurdles are 27 inches. Yeah. At the combine, I jumped a 26.5 vert.
Oh, wow.
So I went from, dude,
because I was looking at that, and I'll see if I can get if I can post to that in the show notes. But I was watching you go over these hurdles.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I think he's still over 300 pounds. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, I look at it now and like, it's a training plus like, I feel like physically, I feel so much stronger. I feel like I recruit so many more muscles when I do exercises. Like, whereas like a lot of things were so locked up in college. Like if I took a step, and I underestimate it because like it's me doing it, but like my steps are more powerful. Me activating my glutes when I'm running that's like one of the biggest. Actually, that's another key that I had to develop during my first year training. It's like actually coming out of my hips because I was so locked up I could never do it. So I was like kind of just fake running or not running that hard. But that physically, it's like that's a big jump for me in terms of like being able to do this and like, oh yeah, that's nothing. Jump, yeah, I can do that. I was like, ask my trainer, you want me to go higher? He's like, no, we're good. But like just being able to do that confidently, because I remember I had the one that was more impressive was the chairs, because the chairs had the had a little more distance because they were wider.
Okay.
And I was like, I remember when I did that, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. I need some hurdles because you like once you jump over, you still got to kick your legs out.
Right.
To land. It's because like the hurdles are really thin. And I was like, oh man. But I was tired. Like when I did those chairs, I was like, oh, this is a lot. But yeah, that's a big thing. Like physically, I'm just I like if I could tell myself, I mean, there's no way I could have known what to be doing unless I had met Sue and like gone to Portland. So like it's the best situation worked out after my rookie year. But like in terms of playing wise, just been like, I even tell rookies now, I'm like, you're here for a reason. Like people will let you doubt yourself. You have to be careful about the voices. Like you're talking about being like, people will give you all this advice, but you have to be careful about the voices you allow into your space. Because like when I was a rookie, I was like just trying to listen to everything, which is some of it was good information. And then some of it wasn't. Like some people like will come in and like, in order to make themselves seem like they have better information for you than you have for yourself, they'll tear down what you know. And it's crazy. Like I had this one guy who literally like tear down the things that I would do and like tell me this and that and like, this is what you should be doing. Yeah. And then for where that was concerned, I became less confident. Anytime I met with him or spoke with him, I played worse. Like it was like, because I was thinking too much instead of being like, I'm here for a reason. I'm in this league for a reason. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to play football. Yeah. That's the thing I tell myself, like when I was in Arizona this past year, I had frustrating times with the D-line coaches they had. Because like I was in that crisis of like trying to tell them, listen, I can play football. I'm not a rookie. Don't talk to me like I'm a rookie. Like I know what to do. Whereas when I was a rookie, I was just like, yes, sir. Okay. Right. Like just a huge difference in terms of like being confident in yourself and then like second guessing yourself every second. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, dude, I think that's the perfect place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, good. All right. So I know right now there's nothing but unknowns out there, but when you're sitting in this position, like, do you have any situations that you're tracking, or is it really just fluid and it's going to come down to end of summer, who's on a roster, who has needs?
I mean, there are teams that I would love to go to. Yeah. Just because like, I remember I wish I never got hurt at the Chargers because I love their D-line coach is great.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Granted, the coaches with the Cowboys have now left, so that wouldn't be like. But there are certain organizations and certain teams that I was a part of that I really like. the way that they're headed, and I like what they do D-line wise, which is great. Like 49ers, Raiders just hired the old D-line coach from the Cowboys.
Okay.
So they're like situations in which like I'm like, oh, this would be tough. This would be awesome to get into. And like obviously like you can hope that you get there, but at this point in my career, I'm just like, listen, if I just trust and have faith, like, all right, I just need to be ready, because honestly, like Arizona was a 3-4, and I don't really like the 3-4 like that, but the way that the league is turning, everyone's going nickel on like second down and third down now. So every 3-4 team has somehow become like a 4-3 team on sub downs. So it's the ideal situation, which like wherever I can go, I can play immediately. So there's advantages to both, but right now I'm just like, whatever happens in July, I'm just enjoying my time. I'm hoping to get access to some classes, just start to think about life after football. But I mean, really, it's a dope time. It's just unfortunate that everybody's quarantined. But like this is an awesome time. Like I remember last year when I was home, I was just literally just training, and I get to travel a little bit, got to see people, got to hang out. But that's the beauty of it. Like at least this time of free agency, it's just like, if you're not a free agent, whatever, or you are a free agent, you get to chill. Like even like some guys that take OTAs off, like I know like Tom Brady would take OTAs off, and like some other guys would take OTAs off because like I want to spend time with my family, which makes sense. I have my parents, but I don't have like kids. But I'm important too. So
come on, Caraun, you matter.
So it's nice to like have time just to be with yourself and just like work on what you can work on, but also like enjoy the freedom of the spring.
Good, man. Well, dude, this has been awesome. I appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun watching your career thus far. And, selfishly, Caraun, I'm hoping to get a few more years out of it. So keep up those plyos, buddy.
Me too.
Awesome. Well, hey, for folks who want to follow along, where's a good place? I obviously follow you on Instagram. Is that the best place?
Instagram would probably be the best place. I'm trying to be more faithful with Twitter and Facebook.
All right. Perfect.
My Twitter is like Chop Reid, and my Facebook is my name. I like just realized that I did not activate my Facebook page. It has been active. It has been a page in existence since 2015.
Just not active.
No, I've been like posting everything from Instagram onto there. And the other day I was like, I wonder how many. Oh, it's not on.
It's not even going.
It's not.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll link to all those accounts in the show notes. But best of luck, buddy. Enjoy the time as much as quarantine allows.
Oof, man.
And maybe we'll have to get you back on at some point.
For sure. Appreciate it.